Hey, transportation community, good morning. This is Luis Lopez, the Freight Guru. Today I want to discuss something that I don't think is discussed very often in the transportation industry, which is internet marketing. And specifically today, I want to focus on the 4 pillars of SEO and how important that is to a transportation company's potential growth in sales as they expand. And this podcast today is not going to be for everybody. If you're on the outbound market for nationwide transportation, you're focused on the spot transactional market, I can understand why you might not be very interested in creating a website, creating SEO. But if you're a local last mile carrier, if you're a container drayage carrier, if you're a warehouse provider, a public warehouse provider, if you provide value-added services as crating, local last mile, rail service, I think this is going to be a very important podcast for you. And I think most importantly today, what I can tell you is that the internet's not going anywhere. And I think creating a website and creating brand recognition is key, fundamental to your success over a long term. So today I want to discuss the 4 pillars of an effective SEO strategy for a transportation provider. The first thing we want to talk about is to please your users, right? So who is your demographic? Who are you catered to? What company message do you want to portray to those users? And I have provided you today some links that are going to really help you figure out how mobile friendly your website is. And then what are the next steps to optimize that website, right? So what is the user interface like? How user-friendly is it to the common person that's logging into your website? Are you going to need to change the text or sizing of that website so that you can emphasize keywords, services, or maybe bullet points, okay? Make sure that your website's readable. Errors, right? Google takes precedent on what type of errors your website has. And if you have misspellings, that's going to be a problem and it's going to bring down your rating on Google. So make sure that you don't have any errors of misspelling. Give the user what they're looking for. Be specific. Nobody's looking at your website and reading 5 to 7 sentences. They're looking at bullet points. They're looking for keywords. They're looking for 15, 20-second videos, and they want to get specific information if you're going to be able to help them. Now, remember, this is B2B users, right? Now, the question I'm asking you today, do you believe B2B customers that you're procuring to are looking online? I think they are. And I think that this is a very big, fragmented industry of transportation that if you position yourself properly on the internet, you can pick up a lot of new business with very, very specific and simple solutions that are all free and online. And I'm providing you all these links today, right? So another thing I want to talk about is building authority via backlinks, right? What are backlinks? And backlinks are basically web pages that are pointing to your website, right? So you want to make sure that you have the proper backlinks on your website. And you can check for broken links on brokenlinkerrors.com. So there's a widget where you can actually check your entire website for those broken links, which by removing those broken links is going to give Google more authority to that website. And that's the goal that you want every day, is to give that authority from that search engine to your website. You want to be a brand leader, a mogul in that space. And the way to do that is by making sure that that website is meeting all these Google algorithms so that you get your best foot forward on that first page of Google search engine or Internet Explorer search engine. Second thing I want to talk about is satisfying search intent, right? So what does that exactly mean? Well, you want to make sure that when you're creating your website, that you have specific search intent for those keywords that you're focusing on. So you're a B2B transportation provider in container drayage, last mile delivery, public warehousing. You want to make sure that you have search intent in those specific search optimization words out on the internet. So when we're looking at that, you want to make sure that you have social media, you have your LinkedIn page, right? And you focus on the industry related topics to those social media campaigns. So for example, if you're a transportation provider that does last mile delivery in the Miami, Florida area, you want to make sure that your LinkedIn is focused on other potential businesses or your customers on LinkedIn so that you can create those search intent backlinks to point to your website. A great page that I think is trending and can really help you create a good search intent is BuzzSumo, right? And we're gonna click on BuzzSumo here. So I've created over 11 websites in the past 10 years, and in those 11 websites, I've gone through a lot of trial and error on how to create these websites, how to make them user friendly, how to create a sales funnel, and it's really important that when you're doing this process, that you're doing that quality control to make sure that that website's going to be the most effective website for that search intent. So in BuzzSumo, you can find content that performs the best, collaborate with influencers who matter, right? And these are really, really important things to look at, is to make sure that you have that search intent and that you have the relationship to your website with that search intent. So one of the websites that I've created, for example, GoFreightHub.io. As you can see here, you can find specific web content related to that website and where all those potential search backlinks are pointing to. So it's really important to look at your backlinks and look at where those backlinks are pointing and make sure that those backlinks aren't broken. That's going to be super critical for you to make sure you get that search intent going and that you get on that first page of Google, because that's ultimately the most important thing, is to get on that first page. Most customers that are searching online aren't looking on page 2 or 3 of a Google search. They're looking at the first 5 to 7 search keywords and links on that first page. So you want to make sure you're focused on that. The third thing we want to talk about today is building your web, right? Building that website presence, which is going to be optimal for your customer base. Now I'm going to show you an example of one of the websites that I've created and where I feel like a search funnel is a really important tool in creating that search intent and ultimately getting that web presence. So the first thing you're going to see on this website is the ability to do a quick quote, right? Second thing is that we're trying to push everybody to a specific page and create a funnel. Another thing that we're going to be providing you in this podcast today is a widget. If you're in the transportation industry, an on-demand freight quote matching system, we're going to provide you the actual widget so that you could put it on your website and maybe help you create to start creating a sales funnel. So it's really important to make, in my opinion, to make a 1, 2, 3 quick, efficient way to get a quote, as well as a 1, 2, 3 quick way to get to a contact person. Because ultimately, a customer that's on your website, you got 15, 20 seconds to get them to a specific point in your website before they're going to move on. So it's really important to create that quick, efficient way to get a quote, as well as a quick, efficient way to get to an email address or a phone number for them to reach you directly, and then magnify that search. So it's really important when you're building a website to make sure that you're building a website catered to your specific services, to your specific demographic. You want to make sure that you use keywords that are specific to your area and specific to your demographic of customers that you're looking to procure. Find relationships with other websites that have established website authority. So if you're in the transportation industry, you want to look at other directories that have validation in order to maybe add your company to that directory. That's going to help you with search intent, and that's going to help validate your website as a priority website on the first page of Google. Challenge industry norms via blog posts, common practices, disrupt it with technology. Really important, right? You want to make sure that you're doing blog posts. You can speak about your industry. You can speak about your local demographic. You can speak about things that are related to your area and your services. So tying in potential, like for example, right now, fuel increases into last mile delivery and having a conversation about that on a blog, or about the demand in the current freight market, or how e-commerce is changing the way transportation companies work and how they procure and how they go out and vet other customers. I think those are key critical items to discuss on blogs, and that'll create search intent, and that will create validation of that website. Establish unique perspective with unique data points, graphs, right? A great point, that widget like I'm providing you. Google loves widgets, and they love to be able to have those widgets for other customers to utilize. So providing a free type of widget or a free downloadable ebook is a great way to validate your website. Final thing we're going to talk about is optimize and amplify, right? So how do you optimize your website? Well, really important to have a Google business page. Have a Yext page, right? Where on Yext, you can combine all your directories into one and then manage all those directories. And I provided you that link, okay? Other things that are really, really important to do is to make sure that when you're providing lead generation on that website, that you're pointing that lead generation into a funnel that provides the B2B customer that you're procuring with a place to put their phone number, their email address, and basic information. Because you want to retain that information so that you're able to send that potential customer a newsletter, or maybe potentially send them over some advertisement material at a later date. I recommend using MailChimp when you're doing that, but there's many different CRM platforms that do that. I like MailChimp, but there's many different CRM platforms that do that. So when it comes down to providing that optimization and the amplification of that website, how do you do that? Well, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, creating videos, creating content on LinkedIn, and putting links to your website on those posts. That's going to validate your website. That's going to lead to that website becoming an authority to Google, and that authority is going to lead you to moving up and up that ranking from that second, third page all the way to the first page, where you're going to get organic SEO first page validation through this hard work and effort that you're doing. So I provided you today a bunch of links that are going to be able to be used and be able to set up free accounts to be able to track your website, figure out what backlinks are broken, figure out how to improve that website, how to optimize and amplify that website, and get your website onto that first page of Google. So, all right, guys, well, you have a great day. We'll talk next time. This is the Freight Guru here signing out.